This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, Mr. Tarun. How are you today?
Good morning, ma'am. I'm doing good. How are you?
Great, sir. Thank you. This is Praveena Kotakota on behalf of India School News. I'd like to welcome you to this online meeting. The duration of our online meeting is normally about 30 to 40 minutes. You can give a brief introduction and then we can have a round of questions, sir. If any participants join our meeting, they can also join the discussion and you can start your talk now. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. First of all, thanks for providing this opportunity. And yeah, my name is Tarun Chavisa, and I did MTech from IIT Guwahati. And after that, I was interested in formal education. So I wanted to see what is the extreme. So I joined Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, for doing the PhD. So I did PhD in electrical communication engineering. And there we had a group where we were volunteering in government schools and so on. So a couple of us got interested in school education. And then that's how seed to sapling education has started. So today we will be talking about a topic, and the topic is, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so why did you choose education, sir?
Yeah, so actually, like if I see the difference what I got in ISC and the difference which I experienced in terms of education in other institutes, there was a major difference. So like there is a lot of focus on rote learning, right? Now it is slightly moving to the understanding and so on. But most of the life, I was also kind of doing rote learning. But when I joined ISC, I realized that there is much beyond rote learning. So there were like exams where you can't pass the exam just by remembering something. So you have to learn what is called problem solving skills, right? So I started doing all those things. I started learning those skills, and I realized that it is not only like passing the exam, but when we are discovering something of our own, when we are solving a problem by our own, there is a lot of joy, there is a lot of satisfaction, right? So I think that was a key for me. So I realized that whatever joy I am experiencing in learning, why don't we spread it? So that was the motivation in coming to the education.
Great. So what's the vision of seed to sapling, sir?
Yeah, so I think I will come to that. Maybe I will describe this at the end of the talk a little more, because the process which we will be going through this particular presentation, I think will make it very clear that what do we want to do. So,
Sure,
yeah.
go ahead, sir.
Okay, so let's start. So, ma'am, you can see that there is a water tap and the water coming out from the tap, right? And whenever I'm asking some question, if you are seeing this video when it is recorded, you can also pause the video and then think about whatever question I'm asking, and then you can resume the video. Yeah, so ma'am, you are observing a water coming out from the water tap. Do you have any observations with respect to water coming out from it? Any observation?
It's pouring continuously. I can see that.
Very nice. Any other observation?
That is the only thing I think I can notice.
Yeah, no problem. Nice. Yeah, first observation was very nice that we can see that it is continuously pouring, right? And now I will tell a couple of other observations. One observation is that water is not very transparent, right? You can see that it is not very transparent. There is a little bit of whitish nature is there in the water. Also, another observation, if you see, the width on the top is very wide, right? But as it goes down, you see that width is decreasing, right? So another observation, if the water is coming as a single stream, then width on the top is wide, and as it comes down, it becomes narrower, right? So that can be another observation. There are many observations. So if we spend enough time, I think we will get many more observations. But the point is that the question which I asked, what are the observations you have with respect to that? That is an open-ended question, right? So there is no right answer for this question. Whatever you will tell is also right answer. And there are many right answers. There is no single right answer for this question, right? So that is the first thing we have done it here. And what we have done right now, that we have exercised our observation skill. We can probably zoom in, zoom out. So if we spend enough time, we will come up with many more observations, right? So we are working on our observation skills. I can probably show a quick video. So you can see that it is a slow motion video of water coming out from the water. And we can see that again, like if we see something in a slow motion, it gives us a very different kind of observations, right? Than what we generally get. So you can, any observation coming, you can tell me right now, any other observations you have? So one thing,
yeah,
go ahead.
it's slow motion, but again, the mouth of the object is wide. It's the same.
Correct. Also, another observation we
And
can yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you tell me, sir. I think that is what I noticed.
Okay, fine. You can see that there is a lot of interaction between the water and light also, right? You can see that there is a lot of reflection also happening, right? And initially, water, when it comes, it doesn't come as a single stream, right? You can see there is a lot of turbulence. The drops are coming and here and there, and there is a lot of turbulence, right? But once it starts coming, you can see that there is more streamline kind of thing. So generally, we don't pay attention to all these things, what we do. We have opened the tap so many times, right? But if we start paying attention to those details, we will come up with so many wonderful observations, which we can inquire further, right? So now, what are the questions arising in your mind? Any question coming to your mind after discussing about all these observations?
I think it's about time management and wastage is
Interesting. Very nice. Yeah. Okay. Any other observation? Any other question?
I think those two are there at present, sir.
Okay. Interesting. So yeah, when we work with the students and teachers, we will do something very similar, right? So we'll get many observations and questions. And you have talked about the wastage of water, right? That is a very common thing which we also generally get from the students and teachers. Another question might be, so we had observations, right? One observation was that the width is wide on the top and it is becoming narrower as it goes down, right? So earlier we worked on our observation skills. Now, if you want to generate questions, it is not a big deal, right? But initially it may take a lot of time and effort, right? So if you want to convert an observation into a question, we can just say why, how, and so many other WH words we can use. What if, why not, what else, and so many other things we can do it, right? So let's use this word why and convert this observation into a question, right? So we can ask this question, or the student may ask this question, that why does it become narrower as it goes down? Right? Why does the water stream become narrower as it goes down? So that is a question, let's say, a student is asking now. So what we have done right now, we started with the observations. So we worked on our observation skills. Now we have converted an observation into a question. So we are working on our questioning skill, right? And now we have this question here, that why does water stream become narrower as it goes down, right? So let's say if this is a question asked by a child to a teacher, what can be the possible responses?
They'll give a scientific explanation.
Yeah, so that is one possibility, definitely. The teacher will try to give a scientific explanation, right? So let's keep that in mind and move forward. We'll come back to that. Okay. So let me tell you a quick story. There is a butterfly in a cocoon. So the butterfly is at that stage when it is trying to come out from the cocoon. So it is trying very hard to tear apart the cocoon, making some holes, tearing apart the cocoon, and so on. And there is a child who is at a far distance observing that, right? And the child observes that the butterfly is struggling. So I should go and help the butterfly. So the child goes and open the cocoon, and the butterfly comes out. Right? Have you heard this story, man, earlier or no?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what happens
So
to the
and
butterfly?
yeah, it can't perform like its function like as it's not natural. It need to make its wings strong and all that so that it can fly or do whatever the function it is supposed to do. But since we already helped and we already did that part of the cocoon, it's became dysfunctional.
Correct.
I hope I
So
heard it right. Yes.
correct. Interesting. Very nice. So yeah. So that is what happened in the story. And the butterfly was not able to perform what the butterfly should do, right? Like for example, flying. The butterfly was not able to fly properly, as ma'am said, that because we helped, right? So we have taken away that struggle what the butterfly should have gone through it, right? And that's why the butterfly couldn't fly. Now what happened here, that the child thought that I am doing a work of a friend, right, and I am helping the butterfly, but unknowingly child has done a work of an enemy, right. The child was obviously not aware that it is not like I am helping. The child was thinking that I am helping, but unknowingly he didn't help, right. So that is what happened. Now if we see, there is a word called frenemy, right? So it is made of two words. I listened this word a couple of months ago in one of the webinar, and it is made of two words. One is the friend, and second one is the enemy. So child thought that I am doing a work of a friend, but unknowingly has done the work of an enemy. Now let's go back to our original question, right? We were discussing about this thing. So and we discussed that what are the different possibilities. One possibility was that teacher will give away the scientific explanation, right? Now, my question is that by giving the explanation to the child, are we helping the child?
Okay, so we are coming to rote learning here. So you are providing the solution, not making the student think to find an answer. You are already giving a solution, right? So, yeah.
Correct. So here also, like, we are giving away the explanation. It may not be rote learning. It may still be understanding. The child may be able to understand it, but still, even if it is at understanding level, we may not really be helping the child. As you said, that we are not providing the opportunity to think, right? So in place of giving the explanation, what else can be a possibility?
I'm not I'm not able to think.
No problem. So one possibility is that, as you said, we should provide the opportunity for the child or children to think, right? So we can ask them, what do you think? What is your possible explanation, right? What do you guess? And let child, so in place of answering a question, we are providing another question, right? So now when we ask this question, what do you think? The child starts thinking, right? So now the child is working on the thinking skills, the reasoning skills, and so on, right? Now, let's say if the child is not able to answer this question, we can ask that, okay, why don't we form a group of 3 to 4, right? And why don't you discuss among your friends and see whether we can figure out the answer? Now there are many other skills are getting developed, right? Teamwork, interpersonal skills, intrapersonal skills, and so many other things, right? They are discussing communication, collaboration, so many other things will get developed. So you can see from one observation, we led to a question, and from one question, we are working on so many different skills, right? So by doing this, we are not taking away the struggle of the child. They might be struggling, right? Or they are challenged basically, right? So we are provide. So they ask us a question, and we challenge them by asking another question, not challenging them that, okay, you can do
Right.
it.
You are preparing them to face the challenges, right, sir?
So not telling that you can't do it, but challenging in a constructive way, right? So we are providing them the opportunity to develop these skills, right? So let's go
I
back to.
noticed two members is attending, sir, Mr. Pankaj and Mr. Shravan.
Okay.
Mr. Pankaj and Mr. Shravan, like if you are listening to us, you also can join the discussion and put across some questions to Mr. Tarun, please.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, Pankaj and Shravan are also from Seed to Sapling. So thanks, Pankaj and Shravan, for joining. Yeah, you can interact on the
Okay,
chat.
great.
Maybe you can, yeah, orally also we can discuss. Okay, so as I
Okay.
was saying, we are having, generally we focus a lot on the knowledge, right? But we rarely focus on the skills, right? Now there are schools who are focusing on the skills, definitely, but we can focus more maybe. So you can see that we started with observations. We then moved to the questioning, then thinking, reasoning, listening, communication, so many other things we discussed, right? So if we just focus on the knowledge, so if I would have explained that child that why is it narrowing it down, we are just focusing on the knowledge. The child may not be able to use that knowledge anytime in the life, right? The child may not find an opportunity to use that knowledge. But if we focus on the skills, then the child can use these skills in any field, whether they are becoming a scientist or not, doesn't matter. But even if they take any other profession or even in their personal life, they can use these skills, right? And also the attitude, right? Like commitment to that task, that okay, I have to do it, persistence, and so many other things, right? So along with the skills, if you can also develop the attitude of like, it is perfectly fine if you make mistakes. So when we discuss with the students, we give them some rights. So one of the right is right to be wrong, right? So you can
Right.
see that when we give this right to be wrong, we are making the classrooms and schools more mistake friendly, right? So now students are more open to give away their answers, whatever they are thinking. They will not think, okay, fine, whether it is right or wrong. Because if you always expect that it should be right, then they don't open up. But if they have this right to be wrong, they will say, okay, fine. Even if I make a mistake, I have that right, right? So that is how we can work on these three different aspects: knowledge, skills, and attitude. Now, right now we talked about that what can be done, right? And let's discuss that what is being done in different areas, right? So what I did just now, so if you have observed that most of the things came from you, observation came from you, questions also came from you, and then finally the answers will also come from you. We are not going into that direction right now. But in this way, what we are doing is that we are having a dialogue, right? I am asking a question, you are replying based on your response, I am asking another question, and so on. So this is called inquiry. I am doing an inquiry, right? And it is called inquiry-based pedagogy. And the idea is that students should construct the knowledge rather than just consume it. So they should become the constructor of knowledge. That is what constructivist approach means. And this is done in many countries. So Finland is doing wonderful work on the phenomenon-based learning, constructivist approach, and so on. United States is also working on phenomenon-based learning. So they are looking at this three-dimensional curriculum, which is like knowledge, skills, and then concepts, and with conceptual-based learning, right? So that is another dimension US follow. And it is not that they are only doing it; we are also doing it. So if you see NCF, National Curriculum Framework 2005, they already mentioned that let's use constructivist approach. Even if we see NEP 2020, it is talking about inquiry-based pedagogy. So it is not like we are not aware of these things. We are aware, and there are documentations which are talking about those things. The problem somewhere is in the implementation. Right? Even if we see right now, most of the webinars, if we attend on NEP, many of them are saying it is wonderful policy, but how are we going to implement it, right? So implementation is the key, right? So now let's see that how can inquiry be implemented in a classroom. So let's take an example. So here you can see there is a glass which is filled with cold water and little bit of ice, right? So it can be shown to students, and then we can ask that, okay, what are the observations do you have, right? So child will observe it carefully, and they will come up with the observation, right? So I may not go into a lot of inquiry here, but we can sense a process here, right? So once the child will observe, they will say that there are some droplets which are coming on the outer surface of the glass. So that is an observation, right? Now, once we have the observation, we will say, okay, what are the questions coming to your mind? The same thing what we did with the water tap, we are doing it with the glass now. So we are looking at 2 examples so that we can understand that what is the process. Now, once we have this observation, converting that observation into a question is not a big deal, right? So we can just say that why are there water drops on the outer surface of the glass? Or how are these water drops coming? Where are these water drops coming from? And so on, right? So now once that is there, then we'll ask the children that, okay, what is your hypothesis? As I said, what is your possible explanation? What is your guess? So in scientific terms, that possible explanation is nothing but a hypothesis. So when we ask this question into classroom, we got many different answers. So one of the answer is that ice is melting and then there are some holes in the glass. That's why we are getting the drops on the outer surface. Second observation is that water vapor is coming up and then it is going like this and then we are getting the water drops. Third one is like going to the cloud and so on. So many different kind of explanation we can see here, right? So the students are thinking now. So now, so once they say that, okay, this is my explanation, we'll ask them, can you design an experiment to verify it? Right? So let's say if the child is saying that it is coming out from inside, then we'll say, how will we make sure that it is coming from inside? Then child may think, and this is one of the experiment designed by one of the child. And you can see that the child is saying, use colored eyes and check if the drops that come out are also colored, right? So if we are getting a colored drops, it means it is coming from inside. If these are not colored drops, it means it is not coming from inside, right? Similarly, if someone is saying that it is coming as a water vapor, then the child has designed an experiment that if it is coming as a water vapor from up and then coming here, why don't I just close this? If I close this, no water vapor can come out, and then I should not be able to see any drops outside, right? So that is another experiment. So like you can see here, for the single phenomena, there are many different hypotheses and many different experiments.
Yes.
So students are constructing their own knowledge, right here. So I haven't concluded that why is it happening. So we can keep thinking. If you have any question, you can contact me. And yeah, anyone is recording also at later point of time. If you have questions, you can contact me with respect to whatever I talked about ice or water tank. Okay, so let's quickly see what are the takeaways. So one thing which we learned that should we make learning simple or challenging? Difficult is a slightly having a negative connotation. So let's not use that word difficult. But we can say that, okay, should we make learning simple or challenging? I'm not answering this question. I'm not preaching anything. We can take our own judgment and see whether we should make it simple or challenging, right? But one thing is that we can ask this question that if we do everything in this way, it will take a lot of time, right? We may not be able to complete our syllabus and so on. They are real constraints, definitely, and there is no doubt about it, right? So we may not be able to do everything like this, but let's say once in a week also, if we can do something like that. It may be a great opportunity for the students to experience and develop these skills, right? And then we talked about different learning goals like knowledge, skills, and attitude. And we have seen 2 examples. One was the water coming out from the water tap, and second one was about ice water in a glass. We have seen 2 examples of inquiry. So the idea is that in the constructivist approach, let a student be constructor of knowledge rather than the consumer of knowledge. And it can be added by the inquiry-based learning. So I would like to also acknowledge the SQS team. Pankaj and Shawan are here, and Shiv, Minal, and Ashwin for providing all the helps and all the learnings, whatever we had. Yeah, so thanks for the participation, and I really enjoyed the session. And you can contact me on my mail ID if you have any question with respect to whatever I talked about. Yeah, thanks. Now we can.
Sure, sir. Thanks for the lovely presentation. I felt like a student again after so many years. So I just have some questions regarding your firm. So, what problem are you solving? Means like, yeah, you already answered my questions actually. And How did this start, sir? And what are some of the schools and businesses you have partnered with?
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks for asking this question. So I will also quickly mention about the first question which you asked. So we are basically working on the constructivist approach, and it is not a new thing. It is already prescribed by NCERT and many other organizations. We are just helping in implementation, right? So that was the quick answer for the first question. And with respect to your second question, that how did it start, right? So if you see the whole team, we are mainly from IISc and National University of Singapore, right? So Pankaj, who is here, who is another co-founder of S2S, and he was contacted by one of his well-wishers that one school is coming up. Why don't you help us? What all can be done in the school? So Shravan, Pankaj, and all of us in the team like brainstorm for almost like 6 months, and we were thinking that what all can be done, curricular, extracurricular, and so many other things, right? Unfortunately, that school didn't come up because of some financial constraints at their side. But then we thought that, okay, we can't wait for another school to come out. So why don't we do something which we have the expertise, right? So we said, okay, we are coming from the research background. So why don't we do something with science and maths? And as we think, as a researcher, as a scientist, as a mathematician, can we provide students also the opportunity to think like a mathematician, think like a scientist, and also develop the attitude and the attitude towards society also. So it is not always about thinking, right? We should also have some social impact. So that is how it started.
Okay. So
And
in
you talked
general,
about a couple of businesses where we are working, right? So we are working with Vidyaniketan School in Hebbal in Bengaluru, where we are working on two programs. One program is Dialogue on Learning, where we have the interaction with the teachers. So we have a dialogue on different pedagogies, and then finally they implement whatever uh, they would like to take from those sessions in the classroom. And that is going wonderfully well. And we are really happy like the way teachers are implementing many new interesting things in the classroom, and we can see there is a change in the classroom, right? The students are observing more, they are coming up with many different observations, asking more questions, and so on, right? So that is one program which we are doing. Another program is H Cube Learning Center. So I didn't mention about it, but when I say H Cube, there are three H's. First H is hearts on, like it should be interesting and engaging. Second is heads-on, the thinking component should be there. And the third H is hands-on. So that's why we call it H-Cube. So we are doing this H-Cube Learning Center where we take the students through these experiences, right? We take them through this journey of constructing the knowledge by themselves. So that is the program with the students. The first program which I talked was Dialogue on Learning for the teachers. We also have some variations of all these programs, and there are many more details on the website. So there is an extension of Dialogue on Learning, which is Learn to Learn classroom program, where we take any board, like whether it is ICSE, State Board, CBSE, any board, and design the curriculum corresponding to each chapter. Because teachers are finding a lot of difficulty in designing the module initially. The final goal is that finally they should design their own modules, but initially it may take some time and challenges. So that's why we designed the module corresponding to each chapter. And but there also we take the teachers through the journey. So they also develop the skills, and they also become the lifelong learners. And then there is a module and the material so that it can help in implementation. Again, module is just a guideline. It can't happen exactly the same way because it is a dialogue. If the student is not responding in that particular way, you may not be able to ask the next question. So it is a guideline, but it is a very interesting tool for our own learning, that what kind of responses can come. And if this kind of responses are coming, then what kind of questions can be asked. So in that way, it is a very important tool.
that's good to know, sir. So I think you answered like what or who motivates you. But my question is, any thought leader or companies with innovation which you follow for success?
So there is a Think, which is also doing something similar. That they are also doing interesting work. And thought leaders like Ken Robinson, I really appreciate him. First time when I listened to his TED talk, I was like amazed. Like he was talking about that how the schools are killing creativity. Right now, definitely there are many schools who are also promoting and keeping the creativity with there. But yeah, I listened to that talk long back, and I was amazed the way he did it. Also, Sugata Mitra, his experiment on the hole in the wall.
Hole in the wall, right? Yeah.
Wonderful experiment actually. It shows that how the learning can be self-directed, right? So here also, if you see, when we are doing inquiry-based learning, it is like students are taking the ownership, right? Because they are asking the questions. Once they ask the question, they take the ownership. They say, okay, this is my question. I want to figure out the answer for this question, right? So they take the ownership. So again, here also we are talking about the self-directed learning a little bit. So I can see there is a good correlation. So yeah, I also appreciate him a lot.
So what is the driving passion, sir? Why are you passionate about your product?
So as I said that it started from IIC when we were volunteering, and while volunteering we realized that we love interacting with the schools and students, school students and teachers, right? So and there is a lot of joy and satisfaction. Like every day when we get up, it is not like okay, let's go to the job again, okay, and so on. It is like oh wow, let's go to the job today again, and it is not a job anymore actually. So it is like it is second nature of us basically now. So like every day we go to the session, like we will see oh let's do something new, right? Let's learn something new. So we are learning so many new things from the students, teachers, and so many things because we are doing this inquiry-based learning. Every time we get a very different response, different kind of questions, observations, and so on. So we are also learning. So that is our energy and food actually. So I think that is what driving us.
Great. So do you provide, means like you are trying to provide solutions to the teachers and education fraternity. What are the biggest challenges of your edtech startup facing?
I won't say fear, but I will say there are definitely challenges. The challenges in terms of like, for example, if you see the assessment, right? The assessments are done differently and then the pedagogy is different. So if the assessments are not modified, then even if we modify the pedagogy, it may not result in a better outcome, right? So we have to change the assessment also along with the pedagogy. But because some of the exams are done from the board and many other places, like the pattern is fixed, right? So sometimes it becomes difficult to change the pedagogy because students will think that, okay, anyway, this kind of questions may not come in the exam, why should I bother about? Obviously, there is a lot of fun, so the students would be engaged and many other things are there. But still, like, at least in higher grades, we have observed this, that students become more exam oriented. In lower grades, till sixth, they are not bothered about the exam, so they enjoy the process and all. So I think there should be a change in the assessment pattern, also the mindset, right? So generally, if we see uh, like we want to simplify things, as I was talking about, but we have to understand that by simplifying, are we helping or are we hurting, right? So there is a lot of mindset change is also needed. So also like this another thing like as a teacher and a facilitator, like I'm considered that I should know everything, but that is not a truth, right? I can't know everything. There's so many things to know.
It's not
So
possible to.
it's
Yes.
not possible, right? Yeah. To understand that, okay, I don't know everything and it is perfectly fine, right? It is perfectly fine. So like generally when we have the sessions, we ask them, students ask us questions and then we tell them there are two kind of questions. One is a good question. So good questions are the questions for which we know the answer. And then there are another set of questions, which are the questions which we call very good questions. And these are the questions for which we also don't know the answer.
Right.
So these are the two different set of questions. So it is like, again, there should be a mindset change that, okay, it is perfectly fine if you don't know the answer, because then we become comfortable. Then we become the partner in the construction of knowledge rather than just guiding them or like having an authority. Right? So I will say that some change should be there in the like system. Also, now NEP is talking about like small classrooms, reducing the syllabus. That is another major challenge. So like cutting down the syllabus, because if there's so much syllabus, how will the teacher complete things? Not only completion, like how will they do this inquiry-based learning, constructive pedagogy, whatever NEP and NCF is talking about, right? So there should be a reduction in the syllabus also. So many other system constraints are there, but I think NEP is going to help a lot. Yeah, Pankaj and Sean, if you want to add anything on that aspect, please feel free.
Right. So,
Wow.
hello. Okay, Shravan, go ahead.
Yeah. One more aspect is the mindset of the teachers, right? So with all these years of teaching in traditional ways, sometimes it becomes hard for many teachers to make this transition. So that is also one concern. Like it is not a sudden process, and definitely it takes time. So there should be some initiative from both the sides, like from the teacher side and also the support that we provide for them. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, very
Right. So I was actually just talking about my same mindset, but maybe on a higher level, that the mindset of all of us as a society, we ourselves probably value some very different things, and then we want the education system to change overnight. That's not going to happen. Like we value marks a lot, we value competition a lot, we value success a lot, and success is defined in some particular way. So uh, unless those things are changed, or that mindset also changes, because finally the teacher is also coming from that same societal mindset, and the same thing will be going to the students in the classroom. So things are probably going to happen on these all multiple fronts, hopefully. Yeah.
yeah. Thanks, Pankaj.
Right, sir. Thanks, Mr. Pankaj and Shravan. To end the talk, sir, one last question I have. What does the future look like for C2 Sapling?
I think we see a wonderful opportunity, like particularly like if we see because of this COVID, earlier we were working offline, like so we were working only in Bengaluru with a couple of schools, but because of this COVID, we have also expanded. So earlier we were thinking that probably inquiry-based learning and constructivist approach cannot be done in the online setup, but we took that as an opportunity because of COVID, and we realized that it can be done beautifully even in the online setup. Obviously, it has some limitations, but it can be done up to a great extent. So now, like we are having the programs where the teachers are joining from other cities, right? From Pune, Mumbai, Hyderabad, and so many other cities. Teachers are joining our program. So like we can see that now the scale is going to increase because of this virtual expansion. And yeah, so I will say that because of the COVID, we got this opportunity to design the programs in a way that we can scale it to many other schools and across the geography. Second thing is that like we do a lot of customization. So we were doing a program with Inventure Academy where we integrated the subjects like geography and science. So we are also working on the subject integration. We are working on the assessment, like how can we assess the skills? Like there is assessment of content that is there definitely, but how should we assess the skills? Like observation, questioning, process skills in mathematics. We have a wonderful work team on mathematics. So Shravan, Ashwin, and Shiv work completely on mathematics. So we have the discussion among team, like how can we integrate the things. And like again, mathematics is also done in the inquiry manner. I have taken examples from science today, but we are doing wonderful work on the mathematics also in terms of constructivist approach and inquiry-based learning. So I can see that there are many other dimensions which are opening up from for C2 sapling because of COVID and these small opportunities which we got.
Okay, sir. We wish you great success, sir. And I thank the team of C2 Sampling to come on India School News and sharing your knowledge. And I hope like you get more schools involved with your startup and everything. And thanks to you, Mr. Tarun. Have a great day.
Thanks a lot, ma'am, for providing this opportunity and for the wonderful participation you had. I really enjoyed all of your responses. And thanks again, India School News, for providing this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.